Good evening and welcome back to Pacing the Pension. If this is your first time seeing this channel, my name is Jeff, and I like to concentrate on what I believe are the three most important spans for retirement, even though I am not 100% retired yet. I'm on my 5-year journey to that goal, though. The three spans I like to concentrate on are lifespan, health span, and wealth span. Even though I am not retired yet, I truly believe that these three spans will make the next phase even better than all the other phases of life that I've been through already. All three to me are interconnected and lean on each other in order to have a meaningful retirement. In today's video, I will give a quick week 6 update on my health journey to running my first ever marathon in November. With that, we'll talk about the adjustments that were needed to ensure that the long-term goal stayed in sight, considering the short-term heat wave that's going on, and we'll talk about the long run to finish off the week. And speaking of the long run, we'll talk about the community, which gets into the lifespan and how nice it was to see an entire regional community come together to revitalize an old train track. Lastly, to truly understand the 5-year exit strategy and knowing and seeing how clearly the work stressors are, because I know what my 5-year strategy is, how I can use the tools like running to help me overcome those stressors as a mental reset valve. So getting into it, the week 6 update. Let me grab my little whiteboard here. Week 6 update. The plan called for 5 miles on Monday. I did 5 miles on Monday. Tuesday called for 7 miles. I got 8 miles in, and I'll talk about the twist to that here in a minute. And then Thursday I got 5 in. The plan called for 5, and then on Saturday the long run was scheduled for 14, and I ended up getting 15 in. So for the week 6, the plan called for 31 miles on miles on feet, and I ended up with 33 miles on feet. So not a bad week to have for training for my first ever marathon and getting that many miles in. That's the first time I've ever done anything over a half marathon. So the idea of being able to get 15 miles in on a long run truly meant a lot to me, and got that extra thing in there to get all that time in. Now to go into the caveat to the Tuesday 7 miles, even though I did 8 miles, but it wasn't at the recommended Indy training plan, what the plan called to be doing for the 7 miles. The plan called for doing that 7 miles in an interval style run where you go high intensity for 1 minute, slow jog for 2 minutes, then do 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, and up to 5 minutes at high intensities. Work back down to 1 minute again with the 2-minute jog in between each one of those high intensity moments. But due to the high heat that was out on Tuesday afternoon, sitting at around 100 and something with the humidity index and everything, I shifted the workout from being at that high intensity so I could manage my own health in that high heat and humidity, and I was prioritizing smart effort over raw pace, and so I turned it into just more of a time on feet and getting miles in and in that heat, but not doing it at high intensity where I would have redlined or been in zone 5 and not been able to recover or been able to even do any of the other runs for the rest of the week that I was supposed to have done. Then again, to finish off, I finished off the long run with that 15.04 mile long run on the Milwaukee Trail at a steady 10:45 pace. So going into the heat training and we're trying to run during the summertime, getting ready for a fall marathon. They talk about as you can run in this heat, it's going to make you better for the fall. I sure hope so. I'll find out here soon, and I'll be able to let you guys know how that works out. But it also means being smart about it also. And it means adjusting the workout types when the heat and humidity spike and just prioritizing effort over just that raw pace. There was another reason. So Tuesday, changed that plan up. But then on Saturday for that long run, I looked for a different place to go and had some great friends that made some recommendations where I could go do a long run where I wasn't out in the heat, out in the baking sun on just true raw asphalt, running around Elizabethtown, Kentucky, where it would have probably baked me and hurt, and I probably would have maybe not even got to the 14 miles, and was able to find a great path and be able to go up to the Bedford, Indiana, to go run on a path up there, and where it was shaded rail trails It provided a better heat control than the direct sun on the asphalt roads. Speaking of that, let me get in talking about that Milwaukee Trail experience. The highlights from running that 15 miles on that Milwaukee Trail, it was it's a converted rail corridor. I'll get in more to that here in a little bit, but it was ideal for cruising and collecting my time on feet. From the crushed limestone to the flat grades, the wooden footbridges, and the tree canopied stretches, there was no stress of vehicle traffic or sharp high impact elevation shifts, which made it perfect for locking in a pace and working to stay with it. Now, I will tell you, it wasn't all flat as it may have seemed. There was some subtle, slow 1%, 2% slow grades that went down. That means when it went down, it had to come back up, and they were noticeable, especially late in the run, to be able to keep a steady pace, and it became a little bit hard to keep that pace. So there was still out there, mostly flat, but those subtle inclines were truly were a way to get impacted in there. To me, I loved seeing preserving that history, turning that old unused industrial railroad corridor into an active long-term public asset. Nothing like having that for my own health, other people's health, but also what it can do for people's lifespans, to be able to get people out and be energized in their own community. And to me, that means a lot. It connects those small towns and rural areas along a historically significant route. For the community, it has a great health impact. It provides a safe, accessible environment for not just runners, but for walkers, cyclists, and families of all ages and all capabilities and everybody. And it serves as an ideal mental release valve to escape the daily work stress and clear your mind over long stretches of nature. To be able to go out there and just see that and truly, I was getting miles on feet, but also was getting a mental reset also, just because I was in awe of all the nature that I was around. So let me talk about the trail a little bit before I close up and everything. So that trail that I was on is the official name is the Milwaukee Road Transportation Trailway, or commonly known as the Milwaukee Trail. It's located in Lawrence County, Indiana. Right now it sits around 10.3 miles completed in one-way direction between Bedford and Williams. It has long-term plans, which is amazing to see that they have long-term plans for this, to extend it up to 20 miles to Indian Springs. The surface, as I already mentioned, is crushed limestone, fine cinder, and gravel with the wooded bridges that are maintained very well. Even saw some new boards out there where some of the boards must have been washed away or rotted out, and they had them replaced, and really sturdy wood bridges. The key route features endpoints. Of course, in Bedford, where the Northeast Trailhead was, connects near the 9th Street and Lincoln Avenue via alley near the 9th Street and the John Williams Boulevard, and then ends at the Williams Dam State Recreational Area and everything. The scenery follows east fork of the White River and the Salt Creek, passing through limestone cut rocks, tree canopies, farm fields, and old railroad bridge structures. As I already mentioned, it's very flat and gentle profile, following that historic Milwaukee Railroad corridor. Used for running, walking, hybrid gravel, biking, and even e-bikes. A lot of e-bikes were out there that day when we were out there. Management, it was built and maintained by the volunteer-driven Indiana Trails Fund in partnership with local supporters. Amazing to see that the support that area gets for that capability. Logistics note, highly shaded, but shade and tree coverage can trap the humidity, and it did get a little sticky out there. And but they had to carry a lot of my own hydration for those that are doing long runs and everything, and just had to make sure that we had there's very minimal water stations out there to be able to get resupplied on water. So you had to carry a lot of water with you to be able to do that kind of long runs like we were doing. So the route itself was originally chartered in 1886 as the Evansville and Richmond, or E&R Railroad. It was during the Indiana limestone boom, a primary catalyst for constructing the line through Lawrence and Martin counties, was transporting that high-grade Indiana limestone back east, where you see it in Washington, D.C., out of the quarries near Bedford, Indiana, and that limestone was widely sought nationwide for landmarks, government buildings, monuments, and corporate skyscrapers, making it a heavy haul freight rail essential for the region's economy. Around the turn of the century, the line was absorbed and reorganized under the Southern Indiana Railway, and later the Chicago, Terre Haute, and Southeastern, or CTH-S&E Railway in 1910. It was a freight artery linked the southern Indiana coalfields and limestone quarries directly north to Chicago. And then in 1921 to 1980s, it had an eastern extension. In 1921, the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul Railroad, famously known as the Milwaukee Road, leased the line to gain direct access to the Indiana's rich coal deposits and bypass congested rail junctions in Illinois. Coast to Midwest span, while the Milwaukee Road was best known for its transcontinental route reaching Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, this southern Indiana branch marked its far eastern perimeter, ultimately connecting traffic down to Louisville, Kentucky. As everything in the world, it hit some financial struggles. Heavy debts incurred from acquiring and maintaining these Midwestern branch lines contributed to the Milwaukee Road's high-profile bankruptcy in 1925. Despite the financial hurdles, the freight traffic along the Bedford corridor continued through much of the 20th century, though. It transitioned and to the preservation it is, the decline and abandonment initially, as coal shipping patterns shifted from being on rail and to more trucking, took over that regional freight in the late 20th century. Traffic on that branch, of course, did not decline. Parts of the line were operated by the Sioux Line and later the Indiana Railroad before gradually being decommissioned. Rather than letting that historic right of way be divided up, though, conservationists and the Indiana Trails Fund preserved the scenic corridor along the East Fork of the White River. And as we already mentioned today, the trail users travel the exact low-grade right-of-way once carved out for the steam and diesel locomotives hauling stone, blocks, and coals. And I will tell you that those steam and diesel locomotives were probably moving a whole lot faster than I was even out there on that same path. Just as a wrap-up, just wonder out there if you guys know of, this is the first time I ever heard of a rail to trail. And just wondered for my subscribers out there, anybody listening and watching this video, if you know of any rail to trails that are out there near you, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them and maybe have an opportunity to go see some other places and maybe get some time on feed in other locations. This rail to trail was amazing, and I will always look to maybe have other opportunities to do that when there's no races going on or other training events going on, and I have the opportunity to get out. I would love to see more rail to trails and hear the history that goes with those out there. So what do you use for your long runs or your mental resets, if it's walking or biking or even e-biking? Where do you do that at? Where do you get out and get those mental resets or get your long exercise opportunities at? I'd love to hear that in the comments. Again, if you like this type of video, again, hit the like button, subscribe, and everything. I'm just continuing to grow this channel slowly, day by day. And again, let's just keep pacing this pension.